Overwhelm is not a failure of willpower. It's your brain waving a little white flag saying, hey, I need support. Hey squirrels, welcome to ADHD, where ADHD isn't some clinical diagnosis, it's just life. I'm AV, your always honest tour guide through this beautiful mess. Over here, we're not about fixing yourself. We're about figuring out how to actually enjoy your life as you are. So grab a snack and let's go. Take a breath, B. Wherever you are right now, driving, folding laundry, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, on the toilet, I want you to know something before we even begin. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not too much. You're just running on memory. Squirrels, today we are going to talk about what that actually means and why it is exhausting you in ways that you might not even realize. Welcome back to another episode of ADHD. So excited to have you here. Let's jump straight into it. I'm going to talk to you about Sarah, okay? Sarah is me. Sarah is you. Sarah is every single one of us. Sarah's a mom of two. She works part-time. She manages the household. And in paper, her life looks manageable, maybe even easy to some people. But here's what Sarah's morning actually looks like, okay? She wakes up already mentally running through the day. Did I sign that permission slip? When's the dentist appointment? We're out of milk. I need to email my boss back. Did I pay the bill? What's for dinner tonight? She hasn't even gotten out of bed yet. She definitely hasn't even gotten her kids out of bed yet. By the time she drops the kids off at school, she's made approximately 47 micro decisions. None of them were on a to-do list. None of them got checked off, and none of them got checked on. But all of them took something from her. This is life admin. Okay? It is the invisible, unpaid, unacknowledged labor of keeping life running, right? Mental load. That's what we're talking about. It's not just tasks. It's the mental tracking of tasks, the remembering, the anticipating, the planning, the adjusting when plans fall apart. And here's the thing that no one tells you. Life admin doesn't show up on your calendar. Okay? Mental load doesn't show up on your calendar. It's in the background. It doesn't get a gold star. It doesn't count as productive. It doesn't count for anything, and you're never, ever, ever going to get acknowledged for it. But it is consuming your bandwidth constantly. Now, if you have a neurodivergent brain, ADHD, autism, anxiety, depression, complex thinking, hyperintelligence, or even just a nervous system that runs a little hotter than most, I need you to hear this. You are not imagining how hard this is, okay? Neurodivergent brains process the world differently. We know this. We don't have as much access to our prefrontal cortex as the rest of the population. We have working memory challenges. It's not that we don't care, it's that information slips through like water through a sieve. I tried to remember, it just slipped through. Executive functioning struggles, starting, stopping, switching between tasks, that requires brain function. It takes something from you to initiate a task, to stop a task, to switch. That's not being lazy. That's a brain that needs more scaffolding. It needs more support. It needs more structure around it. These are things that we know about ourselves that are going to come up time and time and time again, that if we build for, we'll be in much better shape, right? Emotional intensity is another one of these things. We don't just feel things. We feel things. We feel them in surround sound, in high def, all of the time, volume up. We feel things big and we feel them deep. That takes up capacity. And then sensory overload, if you're a sensory girly like me, or boy, if you're a sensory human like I am, the hum of the refrigerator, okay, the texture of the tag, the chaos of a cluttered room, the feeling of your hair on your head. I can feel my eyelashes right now. I am actively, consciously trying not to focus on the fact that I can feel my eyelashes on my right eye. And now that I'm talking about it, I can feel the eyelashes on my left eye as well. Those things, those sensory inputs are not just, they're not minor inconveniences. They are drains on our system. So when you're trying to manage mental load, when you're trying to manage your life admin, all of those invisible tasks, all of that mental juggling, you're doing it with a brain that's already working harder just to exist in the world. No wonder you're exhausted. No wonder you feel like you're falling behind. You're not behind, you are overloaded. And let me just take a parentheses break to talk about this concept of behind. Behind what, bro? On whose schedule, on whose timeline, according to whose plan are you supposed to be ahead of or behind something? Who decided what this trajectory is for you? And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably somewhere between 27 and 52 years old. You have so much time left. Are you joking? Do you remember how long your teenage years felt? That was 5 years. That felt like a million years. You have time. You have time. You have time. Don't overload yourself extra by measuring yourself on some sort of invisible clock that literally does not matter. Okay? Close parentheses on that. Your brain already burns out faster. You need to give yourself a little bit more grace. Let me open up another parentheses to talk about the buzzword burnout. When I'm talking about burnout, listen, I know that it's buzzy. You're not a candle. You can't burn out. Burnout was like dying, right? If you're burnt out completely, you're dead, I think. Pretty sure that that's what that means. But but the feeling of overwhelm is within your control. Am I objectively doing a lot of things that would overwhelm the average person is different than do I feel overwhelmed? And whether or not you feel overwhelmed, believe it or not, is a lot more within your control than you might think. Okay, so I'm going to close my parentheses on burnout. We're going to give ourselves some grace and we're going to stop treating ourselves like we're super fragile and we're going to break it any given second and talk about the hidden cost of running on memory. Running on memory is like running on fumes, right? You have when you're talking about a computer, right? RAM is random access memory and it's fast, it's volatile, it loses data without power. It's memory for active tasks. While ROM, read only memory, is slower, non volatile memory for permanent essential instructions like firmware. Okay, so in your brain, you also have RAM and ROM. There's like the base systems of information that you need to have. And then there's the RAM, the active memory that you're using all the time. If your computer is running too much RAM, it will crash. If you're younger, you might not know about this. We used to have limited RAM. I know we still do, but you probably don't feel it as much because computers have more RAM built in. If your computer has too much shit running and it's running on random access memory, which it will be because that's all the open active stuff, your computer is going to crash. Your system's going to be slow as hell and everything's going to be glitchy and weird. That's the same thing with human beings. And here's the part that really gets me. Most of us are managing our entire lives from that random access memory, right? We're storing our appointments, our obligations, our grocery lists, our emotional labor, our relationship maintenance, our work deadlines, our kids' shoe sizes, the last conversation I had with my neighbor, like the fact that I left my favorite sweater in the back of my car and I have to remember to go back and get it later. I'm storing that in my head. And every single one of those things takes up cognitive real estate. It takes up your RAM. It's exactly like having 100 browser tabs open at all times. Your brain never gets to rest. It's always holding on to something. And the cruel irony is that the more you try to remember, the more you forget. Your brain isn't designed to be a storage unit, right? There's long-term memory. We have our ROM, but most of your brain is designed to think and create and connect and build active connections between the things that are going on in your life all the time. But when it's overloaded with life admin, it can't do any of that because you're literally just surviving. And here's where the shame creeps in. Because when you forget something, when you miss the appointment, when you snap at your partner, when you drop the ball again, when you're clumsy, when you leave the front door open, you don't think, wow, my system is so overwhelmed. You think, what is wrong with me? And that feeling of shame just compounds and compounds and compounds. And then we start looking for places where we're failing. We start noticing failures more than we're noticing our successes. And we feed further into the narrative of like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why can't I literally do anything? So now we're going to reframe because that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to live like that. It's not acceptable to talk to yourself like that. It's not acceptable to think about yourself like that. So we are going to reframe this right here and right now. Listen up, Buttercup. Overwhelm is not a character flaw. It is not a failure of willpower, and it is not proof that you can't handle your life. Overwhelm is information. I'm going to sidebar again because I was talking to my brother and my sister like probably about a year ago, and I phrased something as like, you are not a bad friend. And they said something like, the research shows that we really should frame things in the positive. So instead of saying you're not a bad friend, you should say you are a good friend. And I kind of push back at that a little bit because you're a good friend and you're not a bad friend are two different things, in my opinion. First, you need to know what is not true about yourself. You need to know that the things that you're telling yourself are not true before you can fill it in with telling yourself something that is true. So I'm going to say it again. I'm closing my parentheses. I'm going to say it again. Overwhelm is not a character flaw. Overwhelm is not a failure of willpower. And overwhelm is not proof that you can't handle your life. Overwhelm is information. It's your brain waving a little white flag saying, hey, I need support. I need systems. I need something outside of myself to hold some of this. Hello, I need some help. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. When you are drowning and the lifeguard looks at you and says, wow, you're really drowning. You really don't know how to swim. You're really not trying very hard not to drown, are you? You are really a drowner. No lifeguard in the history of lifeguards has ever done that. And if they have, they're probably behind bars. They give you a buoy. They give you a life jacket. They throw you a lifeline. They throw you a rope. They give you a flotation device. The problem isn't you. The problem is that you've been asked to run a marathon in your head every single day without a map, without water stations, without anyone cheering you on. Of course you're tired. Putting a non-swimmer in a body of water and watching them drown is not like, wow, that person really should have known how to swim. That person is a non-swimmer. And like they might do a pretty good job at keeping themselves afloat, but damn, of course you're tired. So if you've been carrying shame about your overwhelm, and if you've been thinking that it's, first of all, if it's just you, it's not. Everyone feels this way sometimes. And a lot of us feel this way a lot of the time. If you have been thinking that you just need to try harder, be better, get it together, if only I worked a little bit more, I want you to set that down just for today, just for this exact moment, okay? Put it aside. Thank you so much for trying to protect me and keep me from feeling like an idiot in front of people who don't understand. But I got this. You are not too much. Your life is not too much. You are running on memory. You are overloading your RAM, and that was never going to be sustainable. If a machine can't exist with unlimited capacity without needing to shut down and recharge, certainly a human being wouldn't be able to do the same thing, is what I meant. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? We are going to introduce you to self. Well, I am definitely not going to throw a bunch of productivity hacks at you. That's not what this is about. But I am going to introduce you to something that I've been developing and something that's helped me and many others start to see their lives differently. And it's called self. Self is a framework. It's a way of looking at your life that honors all of it. Not just the tasks and not just the goals, but the energy, the emotions, the seasons, the capacity you actually have, and the fluctuations between those things. It's not about doing more. It's about seeing clearly so you can finally stop running on memory and start running on intention. Because when you can see the whole picture and when you have a system that holds the complexity of your real life, something shifts. You stop feeling like you're drowning and you start feeling like you're steering. The line or the path from intention to action becomes much straighter, much clearer, much quicker. And that is absolutely everything. I'm going to offer y'all a bunch of stuff because we have a lot of things to actually offer you here, a bunch of free stuff that'll help you. But before I do that, I'm going to give you one tiny last tip. Because your brain has open tabs, right? There's open stuff in your brain all the time. Before you go to bed, I want you to keep a pad of paper next to your bed. And before you go to bed, I want you to write down all of the things that you didn't do that day. All the things that you intended to do, the things that are like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, those things that come up one after the other, after the other, after the other as thoughts when you're lying in bed and trying to go to sleep. Write them down, because when you write them down, you are closing the loop on that particular thought and allowing your brain to actually rest, stop, recharge, reset without feeling like it needs to hold on tightly to all the information. Otherwise, it's going to slip. It's going to get lost. You're going to lose it forever. Okay. So that's just one tiny thing. And generally speaking, if this episode resonated with you and if you're nodding along or maybe you're tearing up a little bit, listen, it's not my fault. I have a tendency to make people cry. I see you. And I mean, I am you. So I want to offer you some stuff. First, I have created something called the self reset sheets. So self is systems empowering life freedom. I want you to have that as much as I want it for me. Like, there is no reason that we should not be living free lives. We have access to too many resources and too much creativity and too much free stuff to not be living our best possible lives. So, systems empowering life freedom, self reset sheets. They are a simple, beautiful way to get started and start getting what's in your head out of your head. You can obviously grab those for free. The link is in the description or the caption. Just give yourself a little bit of space and see what happens. And then the second thing that I have is, if you're at a point where you want help seeing the whole picture, where you want somebody to sit with you and help you untangle the overwhelm, that's what the strategic decision call is for. It's a conversation. There's no pressure. There's no sell. There's no anything. It's just showing you what you already have and giving you clarity in your existing vision. Because you deserve to stop surviving and start living and enjoying your life and yourself the way that you are without feeling like you always need to be something different. And I'm thinking of somebody very specific. So if you are listening right now and you know who you are, shoot me a message, because I love you a lot and I'm very proud of you. If you are a person who is currently working in a space or in a place where people do not appreciate you, they do not see your brain, they do not see your beauty, and they are not willing to help you set up systems that will empower your life freedom, set those systems up for yourself, because you deserve it. And if you're in a place that doesn't enable that, try and leave that place. I believe in you so much because you have so much to give the world. And there are people who will be able to see you and see your vision and see your purpose along with you and help you find clarity in that. And if you choose me as that person, I'm honored. But in the meantime, thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening to me. And remember, your life isn't too much. It's just been running on memory. Let's change that together. Bye, squirrels. See you next time.